Hi all, very good afternoon, very good morning. This is Nilesh here. I'm so sorry we have started the webinar a little bit late, a couple of minutes, but in the interest of uh, all the participants, we will still wait for 1 or 2 more minutes and then we will start. So please bear with us, please be on the line. Right, I think we have got the required quorum and we can start the webinar. So I welcome all, very good morning once again. Today we are going to see what's new in pCloudy 5.6. Yeah, so I'm Nilesh. I look after the pre-sales at pCloudy, and I'll be the uh, host who will be taking you through this webinar today. So quickly moving to the next slide, where we are going to see a quick agenda. What we are going to see in today's webinar. The first one is about introduction about the product as such, and after that, we are going to see what's new in pCloudy 5.6, followed by Q&A session. So I definitely want to make this webinar as an interactive one, but practically it's not possible. So I would just like to request all the participants to note down their questions if they have any during this webinar, and please feel free to ask these questions towards the end of the webinar, which I will be taking it. All right, so I'm giving the introduction about pCloudy. I'm pretty sure most of you are already a part of pCloudy. You're using pCloudy, so you know everything about pCloudy. But there are so many new participants who have joined today who are not using pCloudy so far. This is their first interaction with pCloudy. So for the benefit of all, I just wanted to quickly introduce what pCloudy is all about. What are all things you can do with pCloudy, right? So pCloudy is basically a device cloud. It's a mobile device cloud test platform on which you can perform different kind of testing activities on the real devices. So we provide you the right infrastructure in terms of mobile devices, both smartphones, tablets, and phablets, and users can access those devices remotely and do the testing on multiple applications, different kind of applications. What are all applications you can test with pCloudy? Is native application, hybrid application, mobile web applications, or even PWA applications, right? So any such kind of applications if you are using or you want to test these applications, you can pretty much use pCloudy to test these applications. Now, what different kind of testing or for what are all ways you can use pCloudy is about this. You can pretty much use this platform to perform manual testing. So in case you are doing functional testing manually with the device in hand as of today, you can pretty much do everything with this platform exactly the way. Only thing is you are accessing the device remotely. You get to see the device analytics. When I say device analytics, basically we provide you the finite set of devices on which you should be testing your applications for a given specific market. Right, this will help you to strategize your testing properly to get the maximum throughput from the limited testing which you will be doing, right? So this will actually help you to focus your testing on a limited set of devices to get maximum coverage for a given specific market. Then you can also use this platform for doing the test automation execution. So in case you have test automation cases already ready, right? You need a right infrastructure, you need a lot of devices on which you should be testing your application. So this platform provides you the capability to run your test automations on multiple devices parallelly in order to save your time to market for your application. And we also have in-field UX testings. Now, this is something called crowd testing, which is getting very popular nowadays, where you can get your application tested by the real test users, test engineers across different parts of the world. So in case there is a need of such kind of testing, you don't have to go to multiple partners, multiple vendors. You can pretty much come to pCloudy, and pCloudy will connect you to our partners. We have partners and we have presence across the globe for crowd testing. So this is a one-stop shop where you can also get this service done. Now there are two ways to access this platform. One is through web. So in case you have a web application, you can actually, when I say web application, you can actually access it from any standard web browser, maybe Chrome, and access this platform, use the devices and perform the testing. The second way is basically the plugins. So it is not restricted to the test engineers, but it can also be used by the developers, or even for that matter, the white box test engineers, the uh, uh, business users, or something like that. So in case it is needed, it can be used with the plugins. Now we have three offerings at pCloudy: public cloud, which is basically a cloud where we have two different data centers across the globe, India and USA. We have real physical devices, more than 500 plus devices, and some of the devices are equipped with real operator same. So in case you have a need to test your applications on real devices with real operators like Airtel in India or AT&T in US, you can use these devices because some of the devices are equipped with operator sims. The next is on-premise cloud. So on-premise cloud is basically the cloud which we will set it up within the client's premises, right? Within the specific client's premises, behind their firewall, we come there with our own cloud infrastructure. We set it up that lab within your premises, and you can plug in all your devices to this cloud and create your own solution like pCloudy, the custom solution, and used across within the organization. The third offering which we have is a private cloud, which is nothing but again a dedicated cloud, just like an on-premise cloud, but instead of the cloud setting it up in your premises and using your own mobile devices, we will provide the finite set of mobile devices which you are looking for, and we will manage and maintain that particular cloud, a private instance of that cloud in our own state-of-the-art data centers. So you don't have to really worry about the devices, you don't have to really worry about the managing the cloud as such. Everything will be managed by us, and a dedicated link will be provided to you with 24/7 access to these devices. So these are three different offerings which we have, and the today's webinar where we are talking about the new features which are getting launched. These are typically getting launched in the public cloud to begin with, and then it will get spread across on-premise and private cloud users as well. So I'm going to take to the next slide where we will be seeing what new feature we are releasing in pCloudy 5.6. Now, some of the features, or rather I say one of the feature is for the private cloud and on-premise cloud, not for the public cloud users, but I'm going to showcase you all those here. I'm going to talk about these features, and I'll also tell you which features are will be available in public and the private clouds. Yeah, so typically we are covering total 6 features today. The first one is wildnet, which is basically for a feature which will help you to test your restricted environment, maybe this staging environment or pre-production environment. We are going to look at see about that. The second one is object spy. I will talk more about this object spy when we will see this in detail. We have support for Appium 1.15.1 data persistence. Again, this data persistence is for the private cloud and not for the public cloud. We have a little more interactions with iOS. I'll be talking about which interactions we have supported right now, and the capability configurator. So we are going to see all these things, but in the interest of time, we will not go to the cloud. I will show you through a video or the slide deck, and then you can experience this when you see 5.6 on pCloudy. So moving to the next slide, where we are talking about wildnet. So what do you mean by wildnet, or what do we mean by wildnet when we talk from the pCloudy's perspective? So there is a need that the servers, the test servers of your applications are restricted within your test environment, right? This is basically to test you, help you to test the private or internal servers for any Android or iOS applications, right? Now, what happens typically is you have a staging environment, you have a application server which is accessible only from within your lab, right? And if you want to test your mobile application with that particular server, you are forced to work within that particular lab. If you move with the device in hand outside the lab, you will not have access to that particular server. So when you try to connect to the application to the server, it will fail, right? So how do you test such kind of scenarios? How do you test such kind of setup using pCloudy? Because if you're using pCloudy's public cloud or private cloud, the devices are pretty much kept outside the network, outside your network, right? So wildnet is the feature which will help you to perform these activities. We do have currently a feature called local site testing, which is restricted to Android platform right now, and this comes with a lot of limitations. That if you have to connect, let's say you have to test it on 3 or 4 different devices, you'll have to run that utility 3 or 4 times individually for each and every device, right? So we want to make it more easy, simple, and effective for the customer. So what we have done is we have released or we are releasing this feature called wildnet, which is even more friendly to use for the customer, right? You just need to enable it once, and then you can perform testing on multiple devices. Now, to see this particular feature, I will take you through a small 2 minutes video just to see tell you how you can use this particular feature, and then we'll move on to the object spy. All right, so let me quickly take you to the thing. Okay, all right, so let's start this. So basically there is a exe file for Windows. We have support for Mac and Linux as well. So you can download the necessary file. You can see the file description from the documentation, and you can download the necessary file on your local machine, which we have done it here. The exe file is downloaded on the downloads folder. Now we are going to the downloads folder and running a specific command, which is a common command across different OS, like I mean if it's Windows or something like that. Now I'm just logging in my credentials on pCloudy and going to my username on the top right corner, going to the settings to fetch the data like my username and API access key. So you can get the API access key from this point. You can copy this from that link, and then you'll have to provide this particular username, API key, and the pCloudy URL on this command, which is .win/-wildnet -i is basically talking about the username, -k is basically the API access key, and -u is the URL where you are accessing the cloud from. So when you are using it for pCloudy public cloud, you'll have to use device.pcloudy.com. So this is the screen I'm just showing where you can actually get this 2 parameters from, and then you provide the URL, and then you hit the enter. Once you run this particular command, you will see this message which says user has been authorized successfully, trying to create a communication channel. So we will create a reverse communication channel between the devices and between your account on pCloudy to your local machine. So as long as you have access to your internal staging server from your machine from where you are accessing pCloudy, you should be able to access the staging servers from the mobile devices as well. So what you have to do here is you have to connect to pCloudy device, as we are seeing it here. I have connected to Google Pixel 2 XL, and if you want to test your application with the staging server, what you have to do is you have to just click on this enable wildlife feature, right? So once you just need to click on that. Once you click on that, that particular feature will be enabled. See the success message over here. It means it got enabled. And after that, you start using these applications, whatever applications. For the sake of demonstration, what we have done is we have opened certain link which is accessible only from my local laptop, right, on that particular network. So only that particular thing will be accessed from here, right? So this is one of the sheet which we have prepared within the and we have kept it within our own web server um, uh, for internal access, and I could record from there. So this is how you can actually use the wildnet feature in case you want to test your internal uh, applications using either staging or pre-production setups, right? Okay. Moving to the next feature which we are releasing in 5.6 is object-spy. Now this is a very important feature, and there is a request from a lot of customers about this. Now what object-spy is talking about basically is to get the Android or iOS applications object tree, right? When you are creating the automation test cases, what you need to create the automation test cases, apart from the technical knowledge of programming, is the object names for the objects which are available in your applications, right? So if let's say your application is launched on the device and you want to click on the button through an automatic script, you should be knowing what object I should be choosing to enter so that that particular action is performed on the device. Now, getting this thing is very difficult if you're not having a local device and you want to use it with pCloudy. As of today also you can do it by using Appium desktop, but it's a little cumbersome. You'll have to launch Appium desktop on your local machine, connect to the pCloudy devices, install the application on the device, and then you can remotely see the screen of the application, of course, and then you can copy the object elements which will be shown on the Appium desktop. It is little cumbersome. You have to have Appium desktop and you have to do a lot of things there. So to make the process simple, what we have done is we are releasing the object spy, which will be an inbuilt feature with pCloudy, which will help you to run the inspector sessions on pCloudy directly, right? And you can also have the bilateral views, which will make it easy for users to click on any element, on the side of the application and get the details of those particular uh, application object trees on the other side of the panel, right? I'm going to showcase you that. And it will also generate the code uh, which, if you wish, I mean, see, typically you can always get the on the object element, right? But it will make more sense for you if you also get the code generated quickly. So you can just copy that piece of code, put it in your existing test cases, or when you are creating the test cases, it will help you to expedite your automation test creation part. So how it happens, how it will look like, this is how it will look like. Let's say, I mean, this is very simple. The way you have connected, or rather you are using, some of the users are right now using pCloudy for manual testing. Same way you have to connect to the device, and when you click on the inspector here, object inspector, this is the editor which will be shown here on the right hand side. Now this editor will host all the attributes for a given application. So let's say this is an application called Android app. If I click manually on this particular application like this, what will happen is uh, all the attributes for this particular application will start appearing here. Okay, including the text, index, the resource ID, and so on. Right? You can further scroll it down to see what are all things are provided. Now what I can do is I can go and select text. Let's say I have to select, I have to use the audio app as text attribute in my coding. So what I can do is I can just click on this, and when I click on this, this will get selected, right? Now what action I want to perform on this, there are a couple of actions which are commonly used. So we have maintained it here: tab, send keys, clear. There are a few more other options which will be available in the more buttons in case you want to do certain more things, right? Now let's say I want to use tab, for example. So I just click on the tab. The moment I click on the tab, you could see the code is generated here. This is the complete code to tap on the application's this particular attribute, right, which says driver.element by XPath, and we are provided the text there. So it's a unique path which we will be creating, which you can use it in your existing code. So this way you can go ahead and use the object spy feature within pCloudy. This will definitely going to help you reduce your automation test creation time, because you don't have to have a separate mechanism to connect to the devices and get this data from there. All right, the next thing is Appium 1.5 15.1. This is basically the latest and the most stable version we have from Appium side, which we have now started giving supported pCloudy. So far we were using 1.13 because that was 1.12 rather, that was more stable. Now 1.15 is there in the market, 1.16 is there in the market, 1.17 is there in the market, but those are not the stable ones. The most stable one is what we usually try to give for public cloud, and for private and on-premise cloud it depends upon what the clients are looking for. But yeah, 1.15.1 is the most stable version we have in the market, and that's what we have supported right now here, which is enabling a lot of customers to use iOS 13 devices for the test automation, right? So we have the support for iOS 13 test automation with the 1.15 coming in with pCloudy. So I'm sure if the participants are using pCloudy for automation test execution, they will appreciate it now, because they can also run their iOS test cases on 13.x devices. All right, the next one is talking about data persistence. When I say about data persistence, it's basically more from the management side, right? More from the management side. Now, this feature is for the private or on-premise cloud, not for the public cloud. What does it do is basically it will enable system admin. We have a concept called system admin who manages the cloud from the user's perspective, from some of the configurations perspective remotely, right? So what this feature allows, it gives you more control to the system admins to manage the file size, the file server space on the file system there. How it looks like and how it does actually is basically something like this. If you see, this is a private cloud setup wherein if the user goes here and if he has access or he has permissions for the system admin, he will start seeing, he'll go to the system admin, he will start seeing all these things there. So in the infrastructure management, we have added something called data persistence, right? Now, what it will do is basically it will tell you what is the total space from your file server is left out now, okay? Because each and every user, when he or she uses the device at pCloudy, we generate certain statistics, we generate certain artifacts, in the form of reports, test reports, and that will remain in the test report. So each test report will have videos, logs, the other artifacts, and then screenshot and so on. So every report is a very huge in size because of the video. Now, if the users are not doing management, if they are not releasing, deleting the old test reports, the space which is available on the file server will start consuming very heavily. So we have provided a feature here called data persistence, with which the system admin can manage this space. He can actually delete the older data. He can instruct the user saying, any data which you have more than 3 months old or 1 month old or 4 months old will be deleted. And he can put a scheduler here. He can say report deletion settings. He can actually set this delete report every 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and so on, right? And he can also set the time after every 60 days or after every 30 days or after every 90 days what time it should be deleting. So he has to say now next thing should be on after 60 days. He can actually go and select the date, let's say 27th of this month, and he can also actually select the exact time, right? So when I select 27, right, what it will do, it will go on 27th of this month at 6:18 a.m. UTC time. It will delete the data whichever is there 60 days old. On this day, whatever data is there from last 60 beyond 60 days, that will get deleted. Only for the last 60 days the data will remain here, right? So this way they can clean up their file server very often and keep the space available for most of the users to further do testing and get the new artifacts from pCloudy. Okay, more interactions for iOS users. If you would have noticed, iOS being a closed operating system, we had a lot of restrictions on this platform to provide the access to the end users. As in case of Android, we have pretty much everything support, right? But that's not the case with iOS. So with this, what we have done with 5.6 release, we have given two more features with iOS. One is to lock and unlock the device, which will definitely save your time. I mean, sometimes there are certain requirements where you have to lock the device, you have to unlock the device. So since we do not have the access to the slide, the power buttons or the other buttons which is on the top, what we have done is we have provided you one soft key there. When you click on that, the device screen will get locked. When you click the soft key again, the device screen will be unlocked. This particular key will be available above the home soft key, which we are providing at our control panel. Apart from that, we have another feature here, which is basically closing the app. Right now, sometimes what happens when we are actually launching a couple of applications, right? So let's say there are 3 or 4 applications are launched, and sorry, 3 or 4 applications are launched, and those applications are staying on the in the background of the device. So if you want to close those applications, you do not want those applications to be running in the background. What you have to do is you'll have to just launch that application, bring it to the foreground, and click on the soft button which we are providing at iOS control panel, and the application which is in the foreground will be killed. It will be closed by the platform. So that way you can manage the applications available on the devices, and you can just keep your own application on the foreground and start working with that particular application. This is definitely going to help you reduce your manual actions, and of course it will also save certain time for your test execution. All right, the next one is talking about the capability configurator. Now, again, this is something for the from the automation perspective. When we were actually doing the automation, you would have seen that we have a sample code. We have provided the sample code, and it's a capability-based approach. So you have to provide certain capabilities. Now, a lot of time, what happens is you need the the complete name of the device. You need your username. You need your password API key and stuff like that. So instead of users to go to different places to your username and go to the settings and then get the password API key from there, or username from there, or going to the capabilities and getting certain things from there, we have simplified the capability section. We have simplified the capability section by allowing you to access the entire parameters, and you just choose those parameters there. You can configure those parameters depending on how do you want, and then you can actually generate those capabilities which you can copy and paste directly in your test code. So this is very common screen which most of the users are aware about. When they go to device.pcloudy.com, they can click on the devices, and this is the screen which they have seen, right? On the devices page, we have multiple multiple tabs here. So I've clicked on the capabilities tab. When I click on the capabilities tab, earlier we had only three things mentioned here. You can go and choose the device name or something like that, and then you just generate the capabilities. But here now what we have done with the improved capability configurator, you can go and choose the operator type as operating systems. Like you want to do the testing on Android or iOS, accordingly you select that. Then you select whether you want to test the browser, in the sense mobile web applications, or you have the native or hybrid application, right? So if it's a native or hybrid application, you can choose this. So let's say I'm selecting Android, I'm selecting application testing. Then I can go and select the device full name, or device manufacturer, or device version. As you know that you can either choose only device manufacturer, the device full name, or you can choose either manufacturer or version, or combination of these two, right? And then of course duration. So if I just go here, you can see I have selected certain things there. I have selected device name, I have selected duration, and then I can select the application and this. And when I click on generate capabilities, this is how the capabilities are generated, right? So I can let's say, see, if you have noticed here, I did not select the application intentionally. Okay, now why I have not selected, just to show you that, here I have taken pretty much everything. Okay, and if I because I am not having the application name there right now, right? So I can actually add it later. I can actually click on this edit. Let's say I just missed this for some reason. I can click on edit, and I can add a capability here, or I can copy this complete code. I can put it in my code, and there I can make certain changes. So this is what you can actually do. Now you are going to get more capabilities, and you can configure it here itself, generate those capabilities, use it in your test code. And so this is a new look and feel with additional configurations which we have provided for the capability configurator. With this, we have actually covered pretty much all the new features which we are launching in pCloudy with 5.6. So I would like to now go ahead and open this forum for the Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask these questions, and I'll take you through these answers. Okay, so you'll have to just wait for a while. I believe questions are getting bombarded. Okay, so let's start. The first question is from Ramesh. He's asking, is the iOS platform supported for the wildnet feature which you have demonstrated? Yes, Ramesh, it is supported for iOS as well as I have shown it for the Android, but the same way you can actually use it for iOS as well. So you don't have to really do any specific thing. As I mentioned, you can just run one specific command which I have shown you once from your terminal, and as long as that terminal is running, you can open pCloudy and connect to whichever device you want, be it Android or be it iOS. You just need to make sure that after that you click on the wildnet feature on the top left side, and you should be able to use your staging server for both Android and iOS. I hope I've answered your question. Okay, there's one more question from Ajit. He's asking if the data persistence, is there a way we can further configure this instead of 60 or 30 days, these are standard, can we make it 2 days or 3 days, or can I put a scheduler there? Okay, so Ajit, if I understood it correctly, you're asking to get more configuration parameters for you to do the scheduling as such, right? So see, at this moment, we do not have this feature right now. We have hard coded the values in the sense we have given you certain options, like as I mentioned, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So you can choose either of these three, but you can very well, set the date when you want. Now this date is only for one iteration, so you cannot have a scheduler as such. But yes, this particular feature we can further improve depending upon what you need it. If that's what you are looking for, we can pretty much work against that and provide you that particular support. Okay. Yeah, there is one more question from Smita. Um, can I use the WildNet feature with the telecom operator like Vodafone or AT&T as you mentioned? So Smita, well, this is not supported for the telecom operators. I mean, if you want to do the staging environment testing with pCloudy devices, you will have to make sure you use the devices with our Wi-Fi network, because if you are using the operator network, we will not have the control, because Wi-Fi networks, if it is connected to, we can route it through the reverse tunnel which we are creating, because that Wi-Fi access point is in our control. However, when you are using the operator network, we do not have control on that, because that's something which is controlled by the operator. So if you want to use pCloudy devices for your staging or pre-production setup testing, you will have to make sure that the devices are connected with our Wi-Fi and not with the operator. I hope I've answered your question, Smita. Okay, so we'll take the last question here, and after that, if there are any further questions, I will answer those questions one on one. There are 3 or 4 different questions. Let me see which question I can take it now quickly. Okay, again, this is from the configuration part. So from the well, not from the configuration as such, but this is from the object spy thing. So do you support object spy even for the iOS? Because I am using Appium desktop currently for Android. It is working fine, but for iOS it is really slow. So will this new feature help me to get iOS testing done? Yes, it is pretty much will help you to get the iOS testing done on this platform. That's the whole point. The reason Object Spy is getting integrated with pCloudy is to save your time, right? First thing is you don't have to have a separate tools to connect to the devices. You can pretty much use the internal tool. The moment we connect to the device internally and provide you this access, it is much faster than Appium desktop, right? And this is not restricted to iOS or Android, right? You can use both Android and iOS as you're doing it today. But because you are using it through something else, it was a little slow. Since you will be using our inbuilt solution, it will be much faster, and you should be able to use it for both Android and iOS. I hope I have answered your question. All right, so there are a couple of more questions I have. These are not related with this, but more from the platform side. So I would rather like to answer those questions on one-on-one basis. Thank you so much, guys, for your time today. I hope you have some takeaways from here to use pCloud in much better way. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good day ahead. Bye bye.